Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of Lobbing Scorchers. We are recording this on a Tuesday evening, right between the Seattle Sounders 4-0 demolition of the LA Galaxy and their upcoming Match Day 29 clash at Minnesota United. And Noah, we've got a lot to talk about, including Seattle's historic run of attacking form in pursuit of their first Leagues Cup title and what's lining up to be another less than active transfer window. So we're going to talk about all of that and more. How you doing? Been a while since we laid one of these down. You've been on Orca's San Juan Island or whatever, living your best life. Now you've rejoined civilized society. How's it feel? And how's it going?
I went from the zen and the quiet and the quaintness and beauty of Orcas Island right back into the heaps and piles of content. But that's what we're made to do. That's what we're here for, is to be content goblins. And I wouldn't have it any other way, Ari. This is the slop that I live for, and this is the slop that we love to give you. We have a little bit of a new format for the show today, which is cool. We're just trying out some new things. And frankly, I'm just glad to be back. I've been literally yelling my Sounders takes into the ocean. Like, there's been no one to talk to about it, so I've just been yelling them into the ocean.
You did call into the post-game show from the hot tub, so you got
that.
some content in, but
and we went on Soccer Wise.
We did go on Soccer Wise while you were recording from the treehouse. So you've gotten the content in here and there, but our first official formal podcast in a while. So looking forward to catching up with you fully, because the Seattle Sounders have been on fire for your entire absence. So there's a lot of goals to talk about, and then there's transfer discourse is always it's always a good time. So looking forward to getting into it. Like you mentioned, we're going to try a little bit of a different format for the show tonight. We're tweaking this. We figure we do so many shows that are game oriented during the week, between our post game show and Nico and I on kickoff, and then Under the Lights, I'm usually previewing the next match. So we're going to try a little thing on this episode where we kind of more just base the whole episode around the agenda check, have those serve as our topics of discussion that are a little more broader than talking about what happened in a given game. And we're going to see how that works. If we don't like it, maybe we'll retweak the format, but I think it's going to be good. I mean, agenda checks are most popular segment anyway, and I think it's going to give us an opportunity to go more in the weeds on broader topics, like I said, rather than the nuts and bolts of these games that we already have, like I said, 2-3 shows in a given week about. So looking forward to trying that out, and let's get into it.
Let us know. We would love to know. We're just trying stuff out here.
We crowdsource suggestions as well. So if there's anything you'd like to see us do with it, feel free to drop us in the comments. We reserve the right to ignore it. Let's get into all that. But before we do so, I do have to let you all know, as always, that Lobbing Scorchers is a part of the Sounder at Heart podcast network. If you want to get the best independent Seattle soccer coverage, consider supporting us by going to sounderatheart.com/LS. What's that link?
Sounderatheart.com/LS.
Scroll down to subscribe and support to get 30 days completely free. Every sign up through our link helps support and grow this show. Did we get any? How's the road to 100 doing? I don't even.
That's a great question, Ari. I've been on an island of an island of despair. Not an island of despair, but now that
I'm of not checking the spreadsheet.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe one more. I think we got one more. What
right,
days? Yeah, we got one today. Scott Curtis.
Let's go, Scott. Hell yeah.
Is that 99? I'm pulling up the spreadsheet. Drum roll, please, ladies and gentlemen. That is that's number 100.
Oh, let's go. We did it. The road to 100.
Scott
Curtis, triple digits.
Let's go.
That's honestly,
I
did not know that we had we summited 100 on that. So that's a big milestone for us. We've been plugging away at that for a while. So thank you to all 100 of our subs. We love and appreciate every single one of you. I mean, a lot of you go back to the days where we would read the entire sub list. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
That was a great popular segment, actually, but I don't care. I would do it again. But that's awesome. That made my night. Scott,
now I'm like
for getting us there. I'm walking on air now.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to deliver the content. So let's do it. Thank you, Scott. Shout out to our sponsors, though. Hacks and Ferments, Podium Menswear, Full Pull Wines, My Data Removal. Get our hot sauce that we made in collaboration with Hacks and Ferments. Great company, Hacks and Ferments. Show them your support in any way. Buy our hot sauce, but also get any of their products. Our hot sauce can be found at lobbingscorchers.com/sauce. And it's
it
good.
was at the Portland Hot Sauce Expo this past weekend, and it sold really, really well. And there were actually some podcast fans in Portland.
Oh, no shot.
That bought some sauce. So shout out to you if you did that, and shout out to our new listeners who found us through our hot sauce. See, this is marketing 101, right?
We're on the up. We got 100 Sounder Heart subs. We're selling the hot sauce in Portland of all places. I mean,
we are infiltrating the rival territory with our sauce. It's like Catan. I think I've actually never played that game, but don't you like take over territory and stuff?
Yeah.
So we are literally Cataning Portland right now.
I like that. That's a good way to frame it. Please sub to the YouTube channel, like the video if you're watching this on YouTube, like all the videos, subscribe, rate 5 stars. What am I missing? Is that all the shilling?
You're missing the content. You're missing the content.
All right, yeah, that's enough intro. Let's get into this. And Noah, like I said, we're gonna go just straight into the agenda check. We got our topics written down here, and how we're gonna do this is we're going to lay down the agendas, riff for 5-10 or so minutes. If we're feeling it, maybe cook a little longer, and kind of have that be the crux of the show. And then at the end, if we got other MLS headlines or anything else we want to talk about, we'll hit that after the agenda check. Does that sound good? Does that all make sense?
I love it. Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. And where we're going to start today or tonight is with some transfer window talk, because that is front of mind for much of this fan base right now, as we there's like 8 or 9 or 10 days or so left in this transfer window, and it is very much looking like this one is going to come and go once again without the Seattle Sounders making any sort of big splashy acquisition. They have this open U22 spot that it was anticipated they were going to fill in this window. There were rumors abound. No Ohio, that seemed like it was going to happen at one point. That turned out to not happen. And it has led to discussion of the prominent agenda among Sounders fans, and it's called, the Seattle Sounders are broke and unambitious agenda. And I think if we do indeed, the window's not over yet, but I think the writing's kind of on the wall with the No Ohio thing falling through, and there's been reports, right, of at least 1 or 2 other targets, if I'm not mistaken, that also fell through. So it feels like Nico on kickoff said it was 70-30 that they were not going to make another move in this window. So that's sort of kind of how I'm thinking of it, is that we're going to have to get to the end of this window and do the discourse on the Seattle Sounders ambition and whether or not they need to be spending more money, all that good stuff. So I guess to start, Noah, why don't you just let's do a little temperature check. Like, how are you feeling about the notion that we're in another transfer window where it looks like a big move is not going to be made? Where are you at on that?
I think that because of the state of the team in the last 6 games that we have played, 8 games that we've played, I think that I'm a little less worried. That said, with the news that Ryan Kent is now basically out for the season, 12 weeks, and you have Albert Rousnack out for at least 4, if not more, I think I worry, but I'm not surprised, I guess, is my take on the U22 signing. I think for the Sounders, generally, they're not broke, but they don't have a budget. There is money, but when you
not
have
a lot.
No, and so when your budget is very small, is $2 to $4 million, you really don't have a lot of options of players who can step in and actually contribute versus your own youth players, to where it actually makes sense to take that spot from a player like De Rosario, or a player, uh, not like Snyder Bernell, but like in the same vein, right? And so like I really think in a way maybe this is actually good. Like and this is going to sound super controversial, but if the budget is really that low, and this is going to be a wake up call to say, all right, like wow, we are now again the first team, only team to not make a summer transfer. You've got Sonny coming in and coming to play for LAFC and changing the entire dynamic of that team, not only like culturally, but like literally, like their podcasts are happy but sad for that. A Korean dubbed podcast hit 350,000 views in Korea. That's crazy. Like, I think this is a galaxy brained way to say that I'm almost glad that they didn't sign some average U22 player and are getting the wake up call that it's time to spend some money. And so when I will be concerned is if they don't actually pick up the phone that's ringing that says it's time to actually invest some more money.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I think how like the form that the team is in and how the team looks can inform how you approach it in a given window to some extent. Like, I find it hard to crash out about a lack of transfer in the middle of a stretch where the team has just scored 26 goals in 8 games. You got Moose.
You got a calculator in front of you, buddy?
Is that good?
Brian Schmetzer.
You got Moose playing out of his mind. You got Osaze on the up. So just like with that position in particular, Noah Ohio's a number 9. He's a striker. Like I feel good about where they're at in that area of the field right now. And we're going to talk about it in another agenda. But like I'm at the point where I want to see more Osaze and a player like No Ohio or someone of that skill set that would complicate that whole situation, and that would mean that that player is going to take minutes that would be going to Osaze. So I mean, like as far as that, like a forward situation, the No Ohio situation individually, I'm not super worried about that as far as the potential on-field ramifications. I think like teams that are super active in the transfer window, it's fun and exciting. It's not always a good thing. It means that you had a lot to fix, a lot that you like really needed to improve. If you're in a situation like Seattle where they're in really good form right now at the moment, at least in the short term, I think that at least gives you a little more leeway to be more tactical about it. And I would not want them to go sign a player just to sign a player, spend money just to spend money. So I guess like I don't think like it's the end of the world from that perspective, but I do think like even if it's not in this individual transfer window, there is going to come a reality where you can't just like not spend money forever. And I think it's pretty clear that there are restrictions being placed on the front office for like what they're allowed to spend and like what type of fee that they can drop. And it's not in that that type of bag that's going to get you like a player that feels like more of a sure thing or like a high percentage signing. Like these U22 spots, we've talked about it a lot. These are fully dart throws. It's luck of the draw a lot of the times. There's no guarantee that No Ohio would have come in here and been a productive player. Like we saw how it worked out with Leo Chu. So I guess it's a long way of saying that like I feel like this roster is in a really good spot. We're seeing that right now, even with the injuries that you mentioned. They're playing some of their best ball of the season. So I think the on-field results should inform how you think about these things sometimes. But I think it's more of a conversation about like the future outlook and how they're going to approach this stuff like moving forward as you have to move off maybe some of these older players, find their replacements, and kind of bring a new Garden. You can't like do that on this much of a budget for the rest. It doesn't feel like that's gotta. It might not be catching up to them right now, but it could eventually. Especially because there are teams in this league now, like LAFC, who are gonna drop $26 million on one player
and make that back in jersey sales in one day.
Yeah. So it just, I guess, this window, I don't feel super passionately about, but it is something that's going to need to be dealt with in future transfer windows because, I mean, they apparently are moneyballing to phenomenal effect right now, but how sustainable is that, especially as the league pushes forward and you get more and more of these teams who are just going to be dropping these crazy transfer fees that Seattle's just never going to drop. Now, I
mean, I think that like there's a part of it where Seattle keeps rolling sixes. They keep getting incredibly lucky with either situations that present themselves to allow them for this money balling, or maybe it's straight just good dealing. Like that is a possibility. But I do think there's going to come a point where the investment in your roster has gotten to a point where you just do become uncompetitive in the transfer market. And that's what's already happened. Like, it's not that the Sounders aren't a desirable place to be. It's that you don't have a compelling argument because you don't have the money to take to a team and say, we want to throw money at this player, or we want to throw money in this position group. It's just, hey, we've got $1 to $3 million. Got to be a player that's able to start. And then that's like, okay, there's two options. There's literally straight up like two people that you could sign, maybe three. And it just, if you can widen your net, you can actually make stuff happen. And that's not to say that like I'm not disappointed, because there was a huge chunk of last year where all I was saying is all you got to do is sign someone. All you got to do is sign someone. I'm disappointed that they're not making a U22 signing. And I think that I'm disappointed in the budget that was set, less so than that they weren't able to get a deal across the line, because I get it. I get it. You had three options that fit within your very narrow requirements, and that's tough. So I feel for Craig Waibel, and I feel for them, the front office staff in general. Like, I don't think that it's their fault that these deals didn't get done. I see a lot of, dollar a dozen commentators on Instagram and whatnot saying like, oh my God, Craig Waibel can't do anything. He couldn't sign a, I don't even know. What's a good metaphor for that? Someone in the comments, figure out a good metaphor for that. But it's like, that's just not the truth. When you are straight up given nothing and you got to make something out of nothing, sometimes you can't make something. Sometimes you can't. And I think the Sounders are incredibly lucky at how well they did in the last window, bringing in Ryan Kent, bringing in Jesus Ferreira, bringing in Paul Arriola, bringing in all of these different Kim Keehee, who's been playing a ton of minutes. All of these different deals that they've done that made this roster incredibly deep and kind of injury proof so far. And other players coming into their own, like Pedro de la Vega and Paul Rothrock competing for those minutes, and Osaze coming up and playing. So I think the Sounders are a very well-rounded organization, and I think they are very smart, but I also do think that they're at just the worst disadvantage in the transfer market because they're not given any money to spend. And so they have to seek alternative routes. They have to look for trades. They have to look for bargain bin deals. And when that happens, one, you're right, like the hit rate is way lower. But I do think they have been doing a good job, and you have to give them props for that, which maybe that parlays into our next agenda.
It does, yeah. But before we get to that, I'll just say, like, for me, like, my number one concern, it's not how much money they spend. It's not how efficient or spendy a roster build the Seattle Sounders have. My concern is this team in a position to contend for trophies? Are they in a position to win? And if that's the case, and they are winning and they're performing on the field and they're getting results and they're competing for trophies, then just for me, this stuff becomes less of a concern. And how they're playing right now, they very much look like a team that's able and ready to contend for trophies. So I think in that way, kind of how I think of this it's going to be defined by how the rest of Leagues Cup goes, and how the playoffs go this year. Because if they win one or both of Leagues Cup or MLS Cup this year with this team, how it is, I personally, maybe some people feel differently. I personally am not going to care one way or the other if they do or don't
They
make a move
signed a
in this
U22.
transfer window.
Yeah.
This is like what happens on the field, what the results are, if you're winning, if you're contending. I think it doesn't inform how this gets talked about and how people think of it sometimes, and it should. That's why we're doing this at the end of the day, right? It's to compete for and win trophies. So like,
well, and just one more thing on top of that, I have to say, and I think you'll agree with this, is that I would rather, if they are forced into a really small budget, I would much rather they wait it out and like find the right player in that budget for the long-term performance of the team and the club. Because I get it, man. Like, if you're given no money, sometimes you got to scroll through Facebook Marketplace for a few days to find a couch. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just what we're on, dude. We're on the eBay grind. We're on the buy nothing, sell nothing Facebook page, constantly refreshing, seeing what kind of deals we can get. And sometimes in the summer, people just aren't fucking listing stuff for nothing. So I think, I would much rather wait it out, sign someone at the beginning of the next season or in the winter, or so, I don't know, whatever, and it actually be a player that can contribute than scrambling because we need to sign someone. And I would like them to sign someone, but I also don't want them to be reckless. And I think with the budget that they have, you can easily be reckless, because there's a lot of players you can spend $2 million on and not get your money back.
Yeah, and on the flip side of what I was saying, if this season ends and they don't win Leagues Cup and they don't win MLS Cup, and they get eliminated from these competitions in a way where it's like, man, if they just had like a little more top end talent, if they just spent a bag on one more game breaker, maybe they win that game. And it's not like a situation like last year where you're playing the Galaxy in the conference finals and you play pretty well, you play them straight up, but they have that one moment, that one game breaker, Ricky Pooge on a torn ACL, but they have Ricky Pooge and you don't, and that's like the difference in the game. And they get eliminated under those similar type of circumstances this year. People are going to be saying like, hey, if you weren't broke, maybe you would have won that game, right?
True.
And they're not going to be necessarily off base to say that. So I think as far as how this transfer window is perceived, there's a lot riding on this Leagues Cup and this playoff run. But for me, if they're winning trophies, that's kind of the be all end all. So if they do that, then it's no harm, no foul for me. But like that means there is a lot riding on it. So
maybe they are broke, but maybe they are not unambitious is kind of where we're landing on this agenda.
Yeah, well, and I think the whole budget thing and like never dropping a bag, I feel like that's recent in the last like year or two, like the idea that they like never ever drop a bag and they've just been this money ball operation their whole existence.
Since De La Vega, they haven't dropped a
bag. They haven't dropped a bag since De La Vega. De La Vega was a real bag though. That was a $7 million bag. Ladero and Rui Diaz, those were both 7+. I think Rui Diaz was like a $10 million bag. So they have dropped bags in the past. Just for whatever reason, maybe it's Long Acres.
Bellhop is on break, bro.
Maybe it's Long Acres. Maybe the frame shop's not doing too well. I don't know. For whatever reason, Craig Waibel is on a budget right now. That's the fact of the situation. And honestly, this does lead into the next agenda because for all the take that Craig Waibel, the heat that Craig Waibel takes, again, we got to take on-field results into account in this conversation when we're evaluating how the whole front office is doing, right? So like where we stand at this point in the season right now, the on-field results have been good. They are top 4 in the West right now. They've won 11 games and they looked like the absolute best team in either league in Leagues Cup. They finished first place out of 36 teams in in Leagues Cup, and they're doing all that. They're 26 goals in their last 8 games. We've seen this has been one of the best runs of form I've ever seen this team be on. Like straight up. Would you disagree with that? Like as far as the footy that they're playing and the goal and the amount of goals that they're scoring, they're playing.
This is what everyone asked for.
Yeah,
this is exactly what every single person at the end of last season and the season before
us included.
Us included. And he's delivered.
We were just like, put a team out there that'll play dynamic, fun to watch, productive offense, and let the chips fall where they may. They're doing that right now. So that brings me to the agenda, which this harkens back to one that we dropped during preseason. Very unpopular agenda, but I think now in general, we have more information on which to assess Craig Waibel. So this agenda, this like I said, this is preseason. I think it's the Craig Waibel is actually kind of a dog agenda, which I think we started talking about this, somewhat in jest, a little facetiously around the time of the Jesus Ferreira trade, because you and I were both pro that trade.
Yeah, we said that he fleeced them, which he did.
We were like, to me, especially now looking how it's played out on the field with the form that Ferreira's been in, I'm just like, man, bringing in Ferreira as a non-DP.
That for is Leo Chu.
For Leo Chu,
who doesn't even play in Dallas anymore.
Yeah, who they already moved off. So, but like there's that, but I think we can judge the totality of his moves more now. And look, I know people aren't going to like this, but like if we just go through some of these moves, I don't really see how you can look at it and be like, and not feel like that was pretty good. Like, let's just take De La Vega, Ferreira, Moose, for example. Those are 3 prominent ones, right? Those are Craig Waibel's moves. Paul Rothrock, that's like an internal.
He petitioned to be on the Defiance, but I'm trying to give it to him.
Yeah. It's just a little different than I'm thinking of guys that like he brought in from the outside for whatever reason. And like I was saying at the beginning, Ryan Kent, that's the one I was missing. Okay. So I was saying at the beginning of the season, like we kind of needed to at least let this season get into this season a little more to see, because going into this season, a lot of people were saying that De La Vega is a bust because of how his season went.
Myself included.
Yeah. So like, and he had not lived up to his price tag or potential at that point, but there was a whole season coming up for him to change that narrative. And talking about De La Vega specifically, it still is a small sample size of him looking this dominant. But for me, by the week, every next game that I watch him play, the more I'm like the talent and the quality that this guy has in his bag is pretty. I can see what they were scouting up. I see why they spent $7 million on him. Whether he consistently maintains this level and is like a game-breaking player week in, week out going forward for this team, that remains to be seen. But I think, it's pretty. There's no way to argue against that. The arrow for the De La Vega move is pointing way up right now. It took a while to get the arrow to that point. Last year was a lost year for him because of the injuries. But
this is truly his first full season.
This is his first full season, and I think and even this season it did take him a while. It's only been in the last month or so that he's started to play like this, really, since he moved to that left wing spot. But straight up, the guy looks like one of the best players in the league right now, like in terms of just the stuff he's doing in these games and the production he's offering, the goals that he's scoring. He scored a goal that might actually get nominated for a Puskás.
MLS will do everything in their power to make sure that gets nominated for the Puskás,
and it won't be unmerited.
No,
like that, it was that good of a goal, and it's not just that one goal. Like he's been scoring goals, but also I'm thinking of things like in the Atlanta game. You're down 1-0 on the road. It's a bad team, but a long road trip, a result is not a given, and it's the second half, I believe, and you're down a goal, and he comes through with a finish in a big moment. That's the type of stuff that you pay $7 million for. And then the way he looked in Leagues Cup was absolutely phenomenal.
So dominant that he's like becoming the face of Leagues Cup in a way, and like becoming like, I don't know, he's doing more media now too. Like there's this momentum and like almost aura behind him and his play right now that we've definitely never seen. Dude, he looked insanely good against LA in that service that he had to Paul.
Yep.
I mean, or was it Paul or Moose, whichever one?
It was Paul.
He was robbed of the assist, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, Rothrock robbed of the
goal.
But like all this is to say is that De La Vega for a long time, dating back to last year and for a lot of this season, was held up as this like example of like Craig Waibel doesn't like know what he's doing. Why did they sign this guy? What a bust. Like, I just don't think that that's the narrative right now. And I'm trying to be fair here. Like if there was like a narrative that was still permeating like that I thought was valid, I think we definitely not been
Craig in the past.
Well, yeah, or even
when
De La Vega has not when it's looked like De La Vega is not living up to his potential. I feel like we pointed that out. So like I think it's you got to be fair, and if it looks like the move is in fact have an arrow pointing up, we should give credit for that to both the player and the in the front office and the acquisition and everything. So there's still a lot to be determined with that one in particular. But I think if you go down the list that we made, Moose is looking like one of the best values in the league. Like, and that is also one that got held up as like a what was he doing? How could they sign this guy? This is your plan at number 9 if Jordan Morris is hurt. Danny Musovsky is your plan. Like that, all that stuff was said. So if all that stuff was said, when Moose comes out with a 10-goal season that he's still adding on to, he's one of the most reliable strikers. Like in terms of I won't go into the underlying numbers too much. I don't want to trigger you, but if you look at them, he is the most efficient number 9 like in the league for the minutes that he's getting right now in terms of like his goal production. So I don't know what to say about that. Like people don't like that and they like kind of hold on to their priors, but that's just like what's happened on the field this year and on the box score. So that's another one where like that looks pretty good.
Yeah,
that looks pretty good.
For me, like, hey, listen, if I can change my mind about Danny Musovsky, you can change your mind about Craig Waibel. I think that there's a beauty in you don't have to admit that you were like super wrong or anything, because I know the Brigaders, they don't like to be wrong. I respect it. I don't like to be wrong either, but I'm also happy to admit when I'm wrong. And like I was wrong about Danny Musovsky. I didn't think he had this dog in him, but he does. And for Craig Waibel, you have to at least look at some of these examples and be like, all right, I got it. You got to give it to him.
You got to give it to him on that.
You can be skeptical, you can be frustrated, but when you look at this, and if you're pretending that all of this, and we got 2 more players to talk about, and we haven't even gotten through the list, and if you're sitting here still saying nope, not real, De La Vega has done it in like 2 games, whatever, but Danny Musovsky, yeah, whatever, like he's only good because he has really good service, blah, 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 blah. Still finishes, bro. Still finishes. Like, I don't know what to say. Man. Craig Waibel.
They could have spent however many $1 million on a number 9, and if that player was producing like Danny Musovsky is this year, like no one would think twice about it.
I would,
and that is just the reality of how Moose is playing this year. Like,
yeah. I'll bet by the end of this season, Moose has more goals than Noah Ohio.
He has more
in his league.
He has more goals than Emmanuel Latte Loth. Trust me, I've been tracking that.
Yeah,
one.
Bro. What's up with him? Like, come on. We should have signed him.
That's the thing, man. Like, I'm not saying like it's impossible to upgrade on Moose, but like realistically, he has 12 goals all comps this year. How much more are we presupposing this alternative would have scored than that? Like, you have to like give credit to the production in that way. I think
he's doing exactly exactly what he was signed to do.
Yeah.
Like
And you
more
can't
than he was signed to do.
you can't like understate the importance of that either, because Jordan Morris has been injured pretty much all year. And I mean, we're gonna talk about
maybe that's a negative against Craig Waibel, signing him as a DP and he immediately becomes the
the
most injured man in
escalators.
the world. There
We
you go,
could,
the escalators.
The thing about the escalators is that was looking like a cook too until Jordan kept getting hurt, because Jordan looked like one of the best number nines.
But yeah,
I think this system this year, it must be fun to be a number 9 in this system. You got more. Jordan Morris was scoring goals for fun whenever he was playing. He's just been injured. Moose has 12 goals, all comps, has been playing like a madman all year. And Osaze has also been productive as well. They've gotten it's like 19 goals out of the number 9 spot this year through match day 28. That is fantastic production, like any way that you slice it. It doesn't matter if there's a $10 million player doing it or Danny Musovsky doing it. The goals count the same, man. So I think let's talk about Ferreira and Ryan Kent as well, because I think those need to be taken into account. I look at the Ferreira move, and people are going to call us biased on this because we were pro the trade the entire time, and then even when he took a while to get going, we were preaching that we thought that it was going to hit eventually. I think that at this point, especially looking at how he played in this last game and the form that he's been in for the last month or so, probably longer than a month at this point, getting Jesus Ferreira as a not DP, as a TAM player on this team,
It's effectively cheating, Ari. It's effectively. It's
funny.
cheating.
I wasn't gonna. I was gonna save that take and throw it on you another time. But literally, it is. It's kind of like that. This is a best 11 player in his career who has been a DP in his career, whether you agree with that or not. He has been, and they got him on a TAM deal.
They bought low.
And look, I don't know how you could watch that last game against the Galaxy, which I get, caveat, it's the Galaxy, but why do you think they were able to do that? Why do you think they were able to, without Albert Rousnack and Jordan Morris, go into a road game, in conference road game, and absolutely lambast the other team 4-0? One of the reasons they were able to do that is because over the offseason, they traded for Jesus Ferreira, one of the most versatile, adaptable attackers in Major League Soccer. And when Rousnack went down, he got brought back as a DP and has been one of the most productive number 10s on the stat sheet this year in the league, by the way. They were able to withstand that injury because they got a guy of the quality and experience and adaptability and versatility of Jesus Ferreira.
I really think 10, by the way. I really think Jesus at the 10 agenda. It just continues.
Think the Jesus trade, I really believe it's one of the best interleague trades that I've seen.
Well, it wasn't the best because FC Dallas absolutely got their pants pulled down, but it was the best for the Sounders. It was an absolute.
Well, that's what
fleecing.
I mean. That's the perspective I'm talking about it from.
Yeah,
and so how is that not like a feather in the cap at this point? I understand that there may be a subset of people who won't give Ferreira credit for anything, no matter what he does. But to me, again, it's about the results on the field. What are you winning games? Are you scoring goals? And are you fun to watch? All that stuff plays in when they're playing like this. 26 goals in their last 8 games with Jesus Ferreira, undeniably an integral part of that. Jesus Ferreira acting as the centerpiece of the offense with Albert Rousnack injured, and you're still able to have a 4-goal win on the road. I don't care if it's against a bad team. That's still not easy to do. So that's I don't know. I'm just so glad to have Jesus Ferreira on this team.
I love Jesus Ferreira.
It's awesome.
We've always loved Jesus Ferreira. So you know what? If you don't like him, haters be damned. More for us. Us.
It's just you have to if he's producing and running the offense in this case like he did in this last game like that, I just don't understand where the counter argument to that even comes in. That was a fantastic trade.
There's none.
Yeah. So that's another one where I'm like, damn, I think Craig Waibel actually might have cooked there. He might be kind of a dog. And then Ryan Kent, he's got a long-term injury now, which sucks. but that was looking like a freaking awesome acquisition. I know he kind of cooled down for a bit there after the blazing hot start, but what I saw from him in Leagues Cup was just like, man, it is honestly crazy that you can have a situation where you have like winger injuries like this, or you need to rotate, and you just have Ryan Kent to slot in, just dropping dimes all over the field, mossing defenders, getting the assist when you're down. It's a Leagues Cup game that you need to take a result in. You're down 1-0 in the second half at home. Who comes through with the assist? Ryan Kent, the guy that they got on a free transfer, like who was a cast off, you know? So that was looking, the injury thing just sucks because we're not going to
we may never see him in a Sounders uniform.
We might not. That's real. Like that could happen, but it was still like a great move and really strengthened the roster in a way that like that's kind of like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, isn't it? Like it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean that is persuading a player to take a chance on the Seattle Sounders again for no guaranteed money, a 1-year short-term deal with an option, all of this, all of the risk being held in basically Ryan Kent's hands because he's making the decision to come play in MLS, right? Craig Waibel and co convinced a very talented European player to come play here. It's kind of a cook.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dog. That's kind of a dog move. He started barking and that's that was the end.
And, you know, like I said earlier, I think a lot of these narratives that we're talking about are still yet to be defined because we haven't seen how this season ends yet, and if they're actually going to be able to parlay this hot streak that they've been on into trophies. And that's going to be the tell. That's going to be the tell, because at the end of the day, like however savvy your roster maneuvering might be, even given your budget, it doesn't matter if you don't win anything from it. But I do think
I also think at the same time, like, what is a GM supposed to do? They're not coaching the team. There's only so much that they control, and that is your budget management. So like how much flexibility do you have at any given time to be able to adapt your club? And bringing on as much talent as physically possible under the roster rules that we currently have. And you ask any pundit under the sun who has the deepest MLS roster from day one, they were saying the Seattle Sounders. So just under those two ideas, I'm sorry, man. Craig Waibel's doing a really, really good job at managing this club.
Well, and part of the reason that this topic came up outside of the transfer window stuff, I mean, this team is getting a lot more attention from the national pundits over the last couple weeks than they usually get. In I think mostly because of what they did in Leagues Cup. They were by far the best team in either league in Leagues Cup. They scored the most goals. They finished in first place. They were the only team in either league to win all 3 games. So that's going to give you some attention. Then you throw the Puskas De La Vega goal in there. But part of the reason
Sunday Night Soccer bamming too.
Yeah, but part of the reason as well is because of what happened in this Galaxy game. And the reason that the pundits took notice of that is because going into that game, they were down so many players. Albert Rousnack, Jordan Morris being the most prominent, but Ryan Kent as well. Jackson Reagan rotated as well. Stephen Fry still not back. So that's 5 big names right there that most times we are so used to seeing in Major League Soccer. When a team has an injury report like that and they're going into a road game, there ain't no way they win 4-0. So that drew that a lot of the commentary nationally about Seattle coming off that game. And Doyle noted this. Joe Lowry noted this. There's at least one other that I'm missing off the top of my head that was talking about this. But Doyle and Jolo both said that they think this is the deepest roster in MLS history. So yeah. I don't know about that agenda. Like, I don't know my like deep in the depths history enough to be able to say that as much as Doyle might. But if Doyle says that, I put stock in that. That guy has been following the league obsessively, religiously from literal day one. So he's not just going to say that out of nowhere. If he sees this roster and thinks that it's the deepest MLS roster he's ever seen, I think there's some weight to that. And also, I think if it's getting talked about like that, I mean, like, don't you have to like credit who built the roster? a
You
little
have
bit
to.
if it's getting that type of coverage and adulation?
Well, I think that those people who actually have an idea of what's happening and like can see it from a little bit of a zoomed out perspective and not such a personal, this is my club, and so anytime anything goes wrong, I need to find someone to blame setup. Yeah, they're like, man, I wish Craig Waibel was my GM. I wish, like that. I don't think people really understand how good you have it. And also, he is legitimately getting praised across the board. Like
I think it's
he
so
could
funny.
win executive of the year.
He might.
Like he genuinely might win executive of the year.
Yeah, and like again, this is us saying it is people can put however much stock in it that they want, but this is like the national coverage that's been happening the last couple weeks because of how this team has been playing, and then specifically also how they were able to handle that Galaxy game even with the injury. Like you saw the two ends of the spectrum there. You saw a team that has depth and like that next man up mentality versus a team. Greg Vanney, I watched his presser like I always do. He literally was talking about in his press conference. They were asking, they were like, why didn't you rotate more? You just said the team looked super gassed the whole game and you didn't have anything left. Like, could you have rotated more? And he was literally like, I don't have a team that's deep enough to do that. Like, pretty much that's what he was saying. He was like, they do, and I don't. So, I mean, that's to say, like, it doesn't. It's that is a unique ability to be able to do what they did and win that game 4-0. It's not easy to do. Most MLS clubs can't do it. That's just like the reality.
Well, and people can say whatever they want about the LA Galaxy. I'm chief among them to make jokes, but they have been surging. They have been playing better, and they were silent. They couldn't do anything. Joey Paintsel was nobody last night.
Well, and
like
also,
it was crazy.
The Galaxy caveat is valid. They're the worst team in the league.
Yeah,
this
they're
year.
bad.
But for me, like if you look at the rest of the schedule that they've been playing lately, they did the same stuff against Cruz Azul and a couple other Liga MX teams, who Santos Laguna and Cholos, maybe not that high quality. Cruz Azul is certainly considered. They were considered the best team in this tournament going in.
They were considered the best team. Non-European team in the world.
Yeah, by some
stats
questionable,
geeks, which, again,
questionable metrics.
Again, a reason not to trust the stats. What have I always said?
But like the point is, like, if it was just one game of them beating up on the worst team in the league, I think that caveat would mean more to me. But they've been doing this to every team over the last 8 games, so I don't even think you need to caveat it that much. Like, it's just because, like, I mean, even no matter the quality of the team in conference road trip like that, when you've just played 3 games in 8 days in Leagues Cup, you're typically not thinking or planning of a 4-0 there. That's just not, like, for me, that wasn't even on my radar, even with how the team has been playing, the depth that I do know they have. I still didn't expect that, just because of what I know of how MLS works in those situations. So I think that's what it is, man. That's where it stands right now. And like, again, to me, the real determinative factor is going to be if they win trophies this year. If they don't, and they flame out in Leagues Cup and they flame out in the playoffs, and they're sitting on the same trophy count at the end of this year as they were at the beginning, then I think I'll at least feel more like, man, like, I don't know about this money balling. I don't know about like this never doing anything in the transfer window. But for me, like, again, results and winning games, that's what the priority is. So if they're doing that, then the rest of that stuff, it becomes less relevant the way I see it. But like, just going through the like the big names in the recent record right there, that is an objectively good list. If you want to poke holes in that list and tell us like why it's actually bad and there's incompetence that's fireable behind that, please, like, by all means, write an essay in the comment section. I'm not going to read it, but I'd be interested to see if there even is that counter argument, because based on production and results, that is what we are judging this by. To be fair, you have to take that into account. You can't just like have your prior and cling to it in the face of whether they're winning games, scoring goals, and contending and competing for for trophies. Like that has to factor into the evaluation. You cannot just ignore that. And that just is what it is. That is objectively like what the case is. So we got a couple other agendas to get to. We kind of cooked on that, but do you have anything else on the Craig Waibel discourse?
Well, I mean, listen, if you are a former Craig Waibel hater or a current Craig Waibel hater or a future Craig Waibel hater, the great thing about soccer is that we're allowed to change our opinions. We're allowed to say, okay, well, maybe I didn't like him before, but I can agree that right now he's looking pretty good. So jump on the goddamn Craig Waibel hype train while it's still hot. You've seen the articles. You've seen the articles on Sounder at Heart that were pumping him early in the season. And you know what? You laughed. You laughed in the face, and now you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna all you who always come in with the you just have bad taste headline. About to throw that headline back at you.
See how that works? Have bad taste.
You see how that works?
You exactly.
And by the way, that was always lame behavior because it was only after L's. It was only after L's. Dude. I can't respect that. But like now, like I haven't seen you guys like.
Where you at?
I haven't seen you dropping that in our chat in a while. Where's that at?
Where's that at? We didn't even write it, and we're still defending it. Like I don't even agree with that whole article, but I'm gonna defend it. I'm gonna stand up for our boy.
All right, let's we got a lot of other stuff to get to. We're 50 minutes in, so let's
this is a good for see now I know it's a good format because we've been cooking on two things for 50 minutes.
You added one here.
I did. We can all right, yeah. So
we can make this one a rapid fire.
Yeah, this one's quick. But going along these same lines, Brian Schmetzer, we've had this agenda for like 3 years straight, and no one listens to us. But maybe this year, finally, it will happen, especially if they win Leagues Cup or if they win MLS Cup. Brian Schmetzer for Coach of the Year.
Well, the playoffs don't factor into it.
Playoffs don't factor in. Leagues Cup, maybe. Brian Schmetzer, and I've said this so many times, is probably the best coach in MLS history. Much better than a guy named Wilfred Nancy. We love him. He's a great guy, kind coach. We love him. He's great. He's tactical. But he doesn't have the juice that Brian has. I'm sorry, he doesn't. He doesn't have it. How do you take a team this big, this deep, this intense, pit them against each other, and make them play 10 times? This is the best I've ever seen the Sounders play in my entire life. They went to the Club World Cup, played straight up against PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Botafogo, and from each of those games, they took pieces of the other team's game, implemented them, and are now basically playing an Atletico Madrid, PSG, Botafogo hybrid and just demolishing MLS teams. They have gone and scored more goals in these 8 games that I've seen like basically last season or 2 seasons ago, where they were just like scoring 1 goal every 3 games. Do you remember this? Like,
yeah, I remember the bit we were doing. I was thinking about this today. The bit we were doing where it's like, can they score 1 goal?
Yeah,
it's sort of like the one I was doing, like, can they go 1 game without a red card?
Yes.
Like it was that the bit used to be, can the Seattle Sounders score 1 goal in a game and maybe even multiple goals in a game? And the whole thing was like, there was no margin for error because they weren't scoring hardly at all. So they were dropping points because if they were ahead at all, it would only ever be by 1 goal. So if they had like an unfortunate concession, it would always be drop points. Like that is not the case right now, is it? Like,
no, and just as I said last year, where Brian Schmetzer completely shifted the identity of the team to be a defensive first team, where yes, absolutely, people were so frustrated. It was kind of some tough football to watch at certain points, but it got the job done. It got them all the way to the Western Conference Final, building on the backs of Yamar and Jackson Reagan and Jordan Morris, who had been surging at that point. But really, the rest of the team, it just wasn't clicking yet. Now, this is a night and day from one season to the next to now. He has all of these attacking pieces and he's able to implement this incredible press, this incredible PSG style press where you have your attacking players, your midfield players, your defending players. Everyone is always on the ball. They embarrassed the Galaxy. They made the Galaxy turn over the ball like 1,000 times, it seemed
The
like.
press is so good right now.
It's
It
so
rocks.
good, and it's so fun to watch. And so I've said it last year and no one listened, and I'll say it again this year. Brian Schmetzer should be the coach of the year, and I think maybe this year he actually might get what he deserves if he gets some silverware.
I'll say, like, I think the reason that Schmetz has never won it, I think I saw Doyle alluding to this on Blue Sky, but I think it's something that I think is true, which is that the reason he's never won it is because for all the winning and success and trophies that the Sounders have had under his watch, they've never had like one of those like 2019 LAFC type regular seasons where they don't win they haven't won the Shield since 2014. They haven't had like a 65 plus point regular season that like the teams that of the coach of the year winners usually have. So I think I'm not saying that
sounds like a pundit problem.
It's not correct that he's been overlooked for that reason, but that's just probably
that's where the pundits take it. Yeah.
And I think
East Coast bias too.
You need to be one of the like 2-3 best regular season teams, I think, to get either that, or sometimes it'll go to like a coach whose team was insanely bad and then got kind of good the next year. But I feel like in MLS, it goes to like the coach who coached the best team or one of the best teams. So
yeah,
Seattle,
it's not really about the coaching. It's never really been about the coaching.
Yeah. Like they would never base it on like, wow, he benched Rui Diaz and put in Belcowed Paul Rothrock and got Paul Rothrock like
to the Western Conference final.
One of the like best wingers on the team. Like that it's like your grand point total in your record and all that. So, but like,
which maybe this is an argument to take the playoffs into account when you're talking about this. But
this season, Seattle's they're at 1.64 points per game right now with 10 or so games left to get I think he needs to get it up to like 1.7 to 1.9, and then I think that convo becomes like real as far as like how he stacks up against the other guys that are going to get shine for that this year,
especially if he's just put up crooked GD.
Yes, which they are right now. So we'll see if they can keep it up. My next agenda, Noah, is tell me what you think of this one. This is the Seattle actually doesn't need a U22 number 9 agenda. So I'm going to start with that, and then there's a second part to it. But I just think like doesn't the Osaze thing have to at least, I'm not saying it means they shouldn't sign a number 9, not saying that, but doesn't that at least have to change how you think of it a little bit? Doesn't it?
Yeah, why not?
I'm literally not tripping that No Ohio's not on this team right now because they have like intriguing high upside young forward who is scoring goals that there's a lot of potential for. And that's like that is the lure of a U22 number 9, is it not? And then, like I said earlier, like if you do bring in a U22 number 9, that is at the expense of Osaze. Like it is. That's what those minutes are. So that you're kind of you're sort of cutting off that experiment in the middle of when it looks like it's working to bring in like an unproven commodity, you know? And I think when you have assets like Moose, who is not like a super big money player, he's on like a decently big number, but he's not like one of your highest paid players. And then Osaze, who's a Defiance kid who you brought up internally, and you got those guys scoring goals for not a lot of money. It's not about like it's about resource allocation, right? It's not smart to like spend your budgeted resources that you have on an area of the field where you already have production, right? So like I think at least from that standpoint, it's definitely like in my mind that it's that when you have a player like Osaze emerging, it should at least be in your mind that maybe we don't need to spend those resources there. Like, is that wrong?
I don't think it's wrong in a general sense, like I can totally see where your argument's coming from. And also, I have to say, like a player like Noah Ohio is going to give you a standard of quality a lot closer to something that Jordan Morris can bring than what Osaze brings right now. Like
Hopefully,
Osaze,
but you don't know that.
sure, but I think like who he is now and what he is and his technical abilities and the things that differentiate him from a player like Osaze, who Osaze is really good at getting into dangerous areas. Jeremiah has alluded to this a lot, and I really like his take on it. So I'm just going to kind of parrot it, which is he's not technically gifted. He's trips over himself sometimes, and he's not the best on the ball, but he really knows how to press back the defense and get into dangerous positions. And people, if they can find him with the ball, he can put a shot on goal. And that's kind of that hold up play and that attacking play that does work with the Sounders in the current system that they're going for. But I think the idea, at least for signing a 9 that Craig Waibel and company have, is that you want someone more dynamic for when inevitably this team has to change identities again, because that's just the truth. Is like you have to be able to be flexible in that position, and you currently have 2 backups who are very similar in their style of play. I think Moose is more dynamic than Osaze, but it's just kind of like 3 really big trees in the center of the field, and you have really good dynamic wing play. But what if that changes and you need more of a creative 9? And I think that was just the idea with having a different type of 9, a different type of piece to be able to slot in there, and a type of player who can maybe play on the wing if needed, or can move around and be a little bit more dynamic, because you're not putting Osaze anywhere but the 9, and you're sure not putting Moose anywhere but the 9. So that's kind of, I think, where their idea is there. And so I tend to agree with that idea, just simply because not that I don't like Osaze and not that I don't like Moose and what they've been able to do, but like, there has to be some sort of plan at some point for something, at least a different look. And Moose is on a contract year this year, I believe. Is that correct? Or
I'm not sure. We'll have to double check.
Okay, regardless, let's say he's in within 1 or 2 years of his contract. Like that's,
and he's probably earned like
a bigger deal. So I think
another team is going to be willing to pay him a lot more money to do what he's doing for Seattle this year. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely
back, but I think that is truly the idea, is that like the writing's on the wall there. And if you can get in a 9 that's a lot more dynamic than him, you still have Jordan Morris, who can perform in that kind of hold up play, burst of speed, but also like this kind of just tree trunk 9 vibe. That's my new, I'm going to trademark that.
Tree trunk 9.
Yeah. And then you still have Osaze there as a kind of third option, or similar to Moose option.
Yeah, and you are going to have to think about like the life in the era beyond Jordan Morris.
Yeah,
eventually.
I don't even know if he's going to make it back ever again. Like I genuinely, not as like some facetious thing, but it's just like,
I mean, it's a shoulder. He busted his shoulder.
Yeah, but it's just like, dude keeps getting hurt. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I tend to think.
Don't hang it up, Jordan. Don't hang it up, bro. Please.
I tend to like, when I look at the year he's had this year, I think it's pretty just disgustingly unlucky.
So
like the shoulder thing. Like, what are you supposed to do about that?
Do anything about
like
that.
Like if it's one of the hamstring muscle injuries, I still think that's probably attributable to bad luck. But you get people who are like, oh, hamstring FC, like you can't blah blah blah. The shoulder thing, like it's a freak play where he like collides with the goalkeeper and flips over. Yeah. So like I don't think necessarily the year he's had this year is indicative of like he's gonna keep getting hurt continuously, knock on wood. But like you are gonna have to, like he's he's past 30, so you are gonna have to think about that eventually. But I guess what I wouldn't want them to do is, like we were talking about, like panic sign the U22 9 in this window with that like idea, if it's not the guy that they like really believe in and think that can actually take up that mantle. And I think like here's the thing about planning on succeeding Jordan Morris with the U22 number 9. Look at what happened with Dejan Joveljic. They hit on that. He looked like a centerpiece type of player. And then they couldn't afford him.
Well, yeah, but that's different because the LA Galaxy are the worst managed roster in the entire
Okay, but
league,
all right, so maybe
and their
that's
their GM should be fired. That's my
the
take.
but don't you think there's like a reality where if they sign a U22 number 9 and that's how they do
Mm.
it, like even if that player hits, which is like, you know, that's a dice roll in itself. But if that player does hit and they're banging in goals for the Seattle Sounders and they look like this like really big hit of a U22, that they're probably going to have to sell that guy.
Maybe,
Like,
but you're still getting a bag, and they're still banging in
yeah,
goals, and you're still producing, and you're going
yeah,
to be able to sign a DP number 9 maybe at that point with the profit that you've been able to generate from your U22 number 9. I really do think that, especially the price point that they were at, a player like Noah Ohio, I think that was a great move. I don't
yeah.
think that they're if they were really truly like, we have to sign someone right now, the world is ending, they would make a signing. I don't think they're going to make a signing there, and if they do, I don't know if I'm going to be happy with that. Like, I think that I was all for the Noah Ohio signing. I thought that that type of
I was
profile
too.
and
Like,
that
I don't want
player
people
was
to get
awesome.
it. I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm more like talking about how I think of it now that it didn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah.
And so
Hindsight.
that brings to me my second part of the agenda, which is that what if they actually use it on like a centerman, you know, like an area of the field that we've talked about a lot this year of they have two of the top 5 players like at their like position at that
Yeah.
area of the field starting week in week out right now, and
And they're not number 3.
it's yeah it's like it's a phenomenal starting duo, but like behind that we've seen kind of what's happened. Like they have no one to really there's clearly no one that Schmetz feels like fully confident in soaking up a lot of minutes behind those guys to be able to rest them and rotate them out. And the result has been they've been playing, I think, too many minutes this year. Like
Yeah.
we've seen them gassing at certain points. Christian, I think in particular, it's like he's playing just so many minutes. It would just be nice to have a high level player at that spot that can spell these guys more. And I think we'll see what happens with Obed, but I'm still anticipating that he's going to get sold to a European team, and then at that point, like you're going to need to address that area of the field anyway. We like what we've seen from Snyder B, but then that's still just one guy, right? So you need depth at that area of the field, and also like I think it could be a fun opportunity to sign that like kind of classic number 6 that we've been talking about, the JP replacement, effectively. Like what if they scouted
Which
up
he's still on the club, by the way. Like, he will be back this season. To what effect? I don't know, because he wasn't looking great before the injury.
I mean, it's also like no matter how he looks when he comes back, he's 33,
He's
34.
that's
Like
exactly.
I'm talking like
Exactly.
future building blocks.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's gonna be a roster need for
For
sure.
sure.
And like I just think that like a pure number 6, kind of like the destroyer enforcer type. If you could, maybe it's a little harder to find that at in a U22 profile. I feel like there hasn't been as many of those that have that MLS teams have used that mechanism to sign. But if they found a sick player like that, I almost feel like that's a more prudent use of this resource than signing a 9 who I think you laid out correctly all the reasons why like a Noah Ohio type signing would have made sense. But I just think this is another area of the field that you're going to need to address. And kind of fundamentally, I feel like they're showing this year that they can get by at that spot in ways that's not necessarily breaking the bank on it. And I get that maybe it feels like more exciting, or maybe you're capping your true upside by not having like a type of player like that in that striker spot. But I mean, we'll see if they can sustain it. But I look at it right now and I'm like, this team is scoring goals like nothing, you know. What they don't have is anyone to spell Christian or Obed that that anyone feels like super confident about. So I don't know, just an idea, food for thought. But
I
that's
think both are true. I think that's the beauty of it, is that both things are correct. Like, I think that you are very correct in saying that there's a need for depth there, especially if Obed does move on, which like there is a possibility that he stays here one more year if the right deal doesn't come in. And he does. I mean, this is not my take on it. This is Nico's take on it, is that if the right deal doesn't come, I don't think he's in a rush to get out and not be in MLS and not be on the Sounders. Like, he has his starting role. He knows what he's going to do. He knows he can continue to elevate and ball out. Like, here, it's just he'll wait for the right deal, and I think the Sounders will as well, because they do care about his future and making sure that they get a good sell-on percentage from him and make sure they do all this, this stuff to what makes sense. Because $10 million from Tigres or whatever rumor, that they don't want that. He wants to go to Europe, and that's probably where he's going to go. And if it's not there, it's not there. But to the point of the 6, like, I think that's true too. I think you should sign a 9 and a 6. U22 or not. I think that's just the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, like, whatever spot they use the U22 on, like, they're gonna make probably signings like for the other one, regardless.
If I was gonna panic sign someone, I would panic sign a 6 rather than a 9, but that's me.
It feels like there's like less like stakes on that if you miss, maybe than
well, I just think it's more of a need, right? Like, you don't need to panic sign a 9 right now, but you sure could use an enforcer 6 to back up what you already have, even if it's an interleague trade.
That's the reason I kind of, if you found the right guy, like a U22 there could kind of cook, because it's like you have options there already, and you don't need them to be like the superstar right away, but you can kind of bring them up and hopefully develop them, right? And they obviously, Craig Waibel has said, like, he wants them to be able to contribute right away, so you would need them to be able to do
you don't want them to,
but like, it's like you don't need them to like carry the load necessarily right off rip, which
I think people misinterpret what he's saying there. Like, maybe he is. I guess we should ask him. We should get him on the pod. Craig, I know you said you would come on. We'll get you on. But I think it's less of a we want to. I think they just don't want a player who has to like play for the Defiance or has to like really kind of slowly work his way into the team. They want to be able to bring him in as a sub or bring him in as a secondary option, and not necessarily. But it's not saying that they have to be a player who's going to start and play game in, game out. I don't think that's not what I got, but maybe I'm wrong. Shit.
All right, let's keep it pushing. We got 3 more things to hit here. I mean, this next one should be pretty short. It's just called the Let Snyder Bernell Cook agenda. I love what I've seen from him so far. I mean, obviously the goal was one of the best moments of the season so far. That's like, I live for stuff like that, man. The 18-year-old MLS debutant scoring like right after subbing on, celebrating with the other Defiance guys. The rest of the team and the whole bench are going crazy. He gets like he gives a speech in the locker room after the game. That rocked. That was the best part of that 4-0 was the Snyder B goal. But I mean, don't you think like to me, he's looked better than I expected, just in terms of how he's like playing within the system and like how kind of natural he looks playing with the first team already. Like, I would have said that outside of the goal. It's not a situation where he looked like it's different because Snyder's quite a bit older, but like Kevin Sullivan has been playing for the Union first team, and it has not looked like that. Like, he hasn't looked comfortable or like he's kind of ready to play with the first team yet. And that's normal. Like, a lot of young players who are just breaking
they can't
in,
all be Obed Vargas.
Yeah, exactly. It takes them a while to be able to adapt to the level, adapt to the speed of the game, adapt to playing actual games with the first team as opposed to training with them. And I just feel like Snyder has looked like he's just slotted right in there, and looks like if he had to start an MLS game tomorrow, I would not be like tripping that hard about that. I mean, I would be like, that's kind of maybe a question mark because he hasn't done it yet, but I would feel pretty confident that he could do it based on what I've seen so far. So all this is all to say that like I hope he actually gets run. Like, it's hard to come by on this team, but as we just talked about, this area of the field, there is a role there for someone to spell these guys in the double pivot. I would love to see him take it. And it's almost like just you're linked to all these transfer rumors with one of them. Just bring the next one right up, and he's already looking good. What have you thought of Snyder so far?
No, I think he's looked great. I mean, he's a secondary assist on the goal that will be winning the Puskás. He came into that game.
Exactly. That's a good example of like how he already, like, he helped cause that sequence, and he had to like dodge a guy to do it, and like he looked natural doing it, and they got like the best goal in club history out of that sequence. So
yeah, that, he scores in the final minutes. And sure, you can say, like, we always like to caveat the game state of both of those games were so far gone that, like, okay, maybe not. But that's fine. Him playing in those moments and actually still performing and building up his own confidence is like the best possible thing for a player, right? Like, that's legitimately the dream scenario for a coach and a player, to be able to put you in a situation to succeed with first team minutes. And he's done that. And I think he's looked really good, and I've loved it, and I am very pro. We're a pro Snyder pod. We've been a pro Snyder pod, and it's really cool to see another homegrown, academy kid get run at that DM position, which Sounders are goalkeeper and DM university out here, man. Like,
yeah, and not to reopen this can of worms, but like that's another thing that I think you got to credit, and it's not just Craig Waibel. Like, there's a lot of
shout out Henry Bronner.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much staff and stuff that goes into youth development and the academy and Tacoma Defiance and all that. But seeing Snyder B come up, it's like I think just the academy and the youth development's in a really good place right now. And this is just the latest example. And it also gives you, what if a banger offer does come in for Obed? If they take that, and that elevates Snyder into a more prominent role, that you can't like cover for it any better than that, theoretically, like than a homegrown player. So
next
stuff.
Man up mentality, Ari.
Next man up mentality. All right, you had the last two topics for us here, so why don't you bring us in?
Well, I think we can also be quick on this one, but this is a pervade. This is honestly, I was trying to ag on people to ask you this in the post-game call-in show, which is, Ari, looks like the Sounders are fine without Albert Rousnack playing. It seems like the Seattle Sounders might be just fine with Jesus Ferreira at the 10 and Albert Rousnack. Maybe he was a bad DP signing. I don't know, Ari. I don't know. I'm being Brigader right now for those.
Yeah,
who know.
yeah. Well, what I think is funny about this agenda is that, like, everyone who is a purveyor of this should realize something, which is what you're really doing with this agenda. And let's be clear about what you're doing. You're complimenting Jesus Ferreira. That's what you're doing. You're looking at it and you're like, wow, the offense is still functioning at such a high level, and they scored 4 goals without the starting number 10 in there. How is that happening? And then the leap they make is because, oh, the starting number 10 must be terrible, even though the team scored 22 goals in 7 games with him starting and playing every minute almost before that. And he also has 20 plus goal contributions this season. But those don't count after he had 30 plus goal contributions last season. But none of those count either, because they came against bad teams or teams that were down a man in like 2 cases. So like that means that my prior that he's bad has been validated. No, like what you're doing is saying, like, man, the guy who was playing the number 10 was running the offense really damn well, who is also a guy that these same people hold up as an example of why Craig Waibel is incompetent. So really, you're also backhandedly complimenting Craig Waibel as well. It's I don't even know how Rousnack got involved in that. Like that's a pro for Jesus Ferreira agenda is what that is. So I agree with it in that respect.
I have nothing else to say. That was your greatest cook in a long time, honestly. Garth, you're cooking.
Chris,
Garth, you're cooking.
All right, yeah, I think that's all we need to say on on that one. I like. How could you look at how Rousnack played in Leagues Cup and think anything other than, wow, that guy was on freaking fire?
At this point, listen. At this point, the purveyors of the agenda, they're just doing it as a bit. They have to, because he's literally one of the best number 10s in the league. So it's like, should we even? I feel like from now on, like, we just don't even have to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
we still will, because it's
we
content.
still will because it's content. I have more I could I could say on this.
Hit it. Say it.
Well, it's just like I think I've said this before, but there has to become a point where stat sheet production like can't be called fake. Like, you can't, if the product, I judge a number 10 or any attacking player like that on, like, are they getting goal contributions first and foremost? If they are doing that at a level that justifies their status on the team and what they're paid, then that's anything past that, like, it has to be something galaxy brained that I don't understand, because like I think what it is, what they pivoted to is like he's lazy and he doesn't play defense. But like that feels like a cop out to me, because the stats have been undeniable for a while now. But like, I guess if you're going to dismiss the stats, the goal contributions as fake, then you got to just explain like why it is and what you mean by that, because it literally doesn't stand up to statistical like what literally is happening statistically. You see what I'm saying? Like,
well, they want him to be playing the 6 now because he's playing the 10 too good. They're like, no. He's not defending. He's lazy.
Yeah.
So he's not playing.
He was insane in Leagues Cup. He had 3 goals that got disallowed on like very borderline offside calls.
And those count as opposed to the ones that don't count. Those count.
Two of which were like, remember the one in the was it the Santos game? It was just an absolute banger off the Rothrock assist. It pains me that didn't count, because that was such a sick goal. And then, dude, also the one in the last game, the Cholos game, where Ryan Kent hit him on the Osaze was like slightly offside, but it hit Ryan Kent, and then Ryan Kent hit him with the no looker, and it was just such a good far post finish. Just Osaze was a tiny bit offside, but man, he was cooking.
God, I'm so sad Ryan Kent is now perma out, because he was starting to look so good again.
I know. So it's very
Ryan. This is please get well. We love you genuinely. You have been.
I would be happy to have him back.
Yeah,
I would
be genuinely, and we would love to have you on the pod as well. Like, you have been my number 1 this season that I wanted to get on.
That would be a good one. We might be able to make that.
I heard he might have a little more free time.
All right, Noah. Last topic of the night, and then we can start to wrap it up here.
Beautiful.
What do you got? Bring us home.
The last and the final topic, and truly the biggest question of the evening: the Seattle Sounders. Are they the strongest team in the Western Conference right now? They have been surging, 8 games unbeaten, 8 games with 27 goals. I mean, it's pretty undeniable at this point that they can score, they can win, and they can do that just against
with any lineup.
Anyone, any lineup, any team that comes against them. And since the Club World Cup, they have been unstoppable. This is the type of run that we saw last year, where they just the most scorching down the stretch run you could ever ask for from an MLS team. It's happening again. The Seattle Sounders are cooking. Are they the strongest team in the West right now?
So I think to answer that, we should look at their competition. Who are the other who are the candidates, and then we can talk about how they stack up a little bit, because I think we've seen the form that they're in right now, and especially with how they played in Leagues Cup. They're certainly in the conversation. They're also, they're 4th on the table though, so there's 3 teams above them. So let's talk about those 3 teams first. Like, San Diego's in first in the West right now. They're on 49 points. They won 15 games. They have a plus 18 goal differential, which is best in the West. I would take Seattle's form right now over San Diego's. San Diego flopped in the Leagues Cup really bad, which to me, I don't think that like demonstrates that they're fraudulent or not as good as we thought they were. I think that is like, when you're a brand new team like tournament play is just a different ball game, man. Especially like a tournament like this where you're playing Liga MX teams, which you've never done as a club before. Like the Sounders they've been grinding these tournaments for
Brian Schmetzer is
over a
literally
decade.
the best coach against Liga MX teams. He's the only MLS coach that's ever been able to figure it out.
Yeah, and like that's an advantage that Seattle has going into the playoffs every year. That's why they seemingly go deep into the playoffs every year. They've won cup a couple of times. They've fared well in the CONCACAF Champions League.
Famously
won it. Yeah. So like San Diego, they just don't have that what's it called? Foundation to like go off of in like their first time ever going into a tournament like that. So I don't really think their Leagues Cup flop didn't really diminish their stock in my eyes. But even in league play lately, I would say San Diego has looked more vulnerable lately than they had earlier in the season when they looked like one of, if not the best teams in the league. So I'm still really high on them. But as far as like current form and who I trust more to actually like come through in a tournament setting, like say in the playoffs, I would take Seattle over them right now from that standpoint. But I think you got to acknowledge, man, like they don't have 49 points and 1.88 points per game, 15 wins for no reason. Like they are one of the best teams in the league. What do you think about San Diego?
I think they're great. I don't think that they're a St. Louis fraudulent team. I think that they are genuinely
any notion of that is over. They're not.
They are a very talented club. We saw what they could do to the Seattle Sounders, and they're fun. They play fun soccer too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they beat you hard, and that's undeniable. So I think that we'll go through the rest of the list, but I do think that that is their true toughest competition. But I don't think that they're in the form right now that the Sounders are in by any means.
No, and I don't think anyone that we're going to talk about here is. So that's one thing that Seattle has in their favor in this debate is best current form is going to go to that. They're in the best current form of anyone in either conference in the league. So like that is a point in their favor. Vancouver's in second, and that's one where I'm like they have fallen off a lot. They looked like one of the best MLS teams ever. Honestly, all through the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. But honestly, ever since then, they have come down to earth quite a lot. They sold Pedro Vite to Pumas, I believe, who that's one of their best players. They did bring in Tommy Mule, which I think that is that's if nothing else, like a fun move for them and their fans. How many more goals is he going to score than Brian White, though? People might laugh at that question. I think the difference in the amount of goals they're going to score over the time that they're both on the team is probably not going to be as different as people might think. But either way, it's a good addition. Like they got a good attacker.
I don't think that that's a good move at all. I'm very down on the Mueller move.
Really? Wow.
I think it was for the bag that they gave him. Seems a little bit silly, man. They spent so much money they couldn't even afford a billboard. Did you see that? They're literally plastering like 8x10 printer printout things all over the city because they couldn't afford a welcome Thomas Mueller billboard. So they're broke and they're trying to sell their team.
They're broke. Who is this? The Seattle Sounders?
Yeah, I don't know, but no, I think, dude. Like, I'm sorry, Brian. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's a. All
right. Here's what I wrote about this.
It's MLS 2.0 shit. It's MLS 2.0 shit. That's what I'm on about.
I wrote about this in my Sounder Heart newsletter actually, but I think part of what's going on there is they're dealing with like stadium stuff and stuff where like I don't think their future in the city is like under like a ton of flux, but that has been something that's been talked about is like if they can't get a stadium deal done, like what is their future in the city? And then the way that they were playing earlier this year, I think helped a lot as far as like getting them in the good graces of the city and the fan base and stuff. But they haven't been playing as well over the last like month or so.
After they shit the bed.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just speculating here. I have no like base of knowledge for this, but maybe they feel like get like name chasing, like getting like a big global star that we know people will come out and watch, and who also by all accounts is going to be like an upstanding member of the club and leader and all that. I could see how they could get themselves to a place where that seems like a good idea. Will it have the on-field dividends of what I think Sun could have for LAFC? I kind of doubt it. But either like Thomas Mueller or no Thomas Mueller, they are a good team, but they haven't had Ryan Gauld all year. And Pedro Vite, you and I love Pedro Vite. So I think that is like a significant loss for them. I don't know if we've like fully seen how they're going to like adjust to that, or if you even can replace a player. He's a pretty unique player, right? So anyway, they're on definitely the shakiest ground, I think, of any of these top teams in the West.
Yeah, and I mean they're not. I don't know. I don't think they have an easy path forward, and they're also still playing in that Canadian Championship. I don't know. That's probably the trophy they'll win this year. Which, like, hell yeah, man, that's tight, I guess, or whatever. Like, go beat Forge or whoever.
It's one of 3 teams. Like, one of the MLS teams wins that every year. So
yeah, wasn't it?
No
Forge
disrespect.
Final like a couple years ago though, which was kind of tight. I don't know.
Did one of the CPL teams win it? I don't think so.
They didn't win it, but they got to the final or something.
Oh, kind of like Sac Pub did.
Sac Pub, famously. Okay. Yeah.
And then you got the only other team ahead of Seattle right now is Minnesota United. We'll find out about that.
Yeah, they get to play each other.
Yeah, they play each other on the weekend, which I'm going to preview that more on Thursday on Under the Lights. But so for more specifics on that matchup, definitely tune into that. But so we'll find out how these teams stack up. I've had such a hard kind of time like gauging how I feel about the Loons this year. I don't know about you, but like earlier in the season, going into the last time Seattle played them, which Minnesota United is the only team to win at Lumen Field this year, like MLS team. To win at Lumen Field this year. It's the 1L Seattle has taken at home was that 3-2 match against Minnesota United, which fair play to them. Like they executed their game plan and played about as well as you will ever see a team coming into Lumen. And I think their style and their tactics lends itself well to road games, which is why they're only 6-4-3 at home this year.
Yeah.
Which is where it's at Allianz this next game against Seattle. But they're 6-2-5 on the road because I think they're like anti-possession tactics and set piece dominance that lends itself well to road games. We saw that in the Seattle game. I still like going into that last game, I was still in this place of like, man, I know that it's working right now. I know that Eric Ramsey looks like a freaking genius and is probably he's gonna be their big
He'll win coach of the year.
Probably he's gonna be their big overseas transfer, I think.
True.
Well, they are fielding bids for Tawny right now, though. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, they're
Tommy Scoops.
They're getting I think Tommy Scoops has been on it, but like Tawny has been on the radar of La Liga teams, I believe. He's having a fantastic year for them. He has like 10 goals, 8 assists, and he's just an awesome player. So that doesn't surprise me. But eventually, they're probably going to move him on. But either way, I was a skeptic. I was a Minnesota United skeptic. I was like, gimmicky is the term I've been using. It feels gimmicky. The whole like we're going to yield possession at like not just a large rate, but a historic rate. We literally have the ball for like 30% of these games, week in, week out, and we just we'll absorb. We believe so much in our just like ability to stay solid and absorb whatever pressure that you can throw at us. And we're so good on the counter, right? And we're historically good on set pieces. This is literally statistically in terms of the efficiency with which they turn their set pieces into goals. They do that at a higher rate than pretty much. There was a while, I don't know if this
in the world,
there was a bit. I don't know if it's still true, but as recently as a couple months ago, they were like number 1 globally in terms of how many set pieces they score. Which is, you watch one of their games and it's kind of crazy to watch. Like, they get like 1 to 2 goals a game off this stuff. Yeah. And like, it's without fail. I bet you they're going to bam on Seattle off a set piece on Saturday. Like, that's just what they do. Eric Ramsey, I don't know what formula he figured out with that stuff, but like, it works. But like, how sustainable is that? Can you really like
not
be
in the
a top 4
playoffs,
team in the West? Like, that's my question, man. That's my question. Like, did they even? Yeah, they didn't get particularly close to making it out of Leagues Cup Phase 1, did they?
They tied with Club America. They lost to Their first match was, they lost, and then they won their final.
They did win one, but like that's one example already of it not working in a tournament setting. So I still am skeptical that like they can win.
They lost to Atlético de San Luis,
who the Timbies beat like 4-1, right?
Yeah.
So like we'll see. I'm fully like open to the possibility that Eric Ramsey's just the guru and they can win MLS Cup like this. Until I see them do it, I can't just stop myself from being like, I don't believe in this. This like there's got to be a reason most teams don't do this to this extreme. But like you also can't argue with the results they've gotten this year. Like and like they have 43 goals. That's the same amount of goals Seattle has scored. Like they have
a better goal differential too.
Yeah.
By a lot.
By 5 goals.
Yeah.
So like they've been playing at a higher points per game than Seattle all year. They beat Seattle at Lumen Field, and they are 3rd in the West right now. Seattle is 4th. So like clearly there is something to how they're doing it, but we'll see. I guess my thing with them is just we'll see in the playoffs.
We'll see.
They might even win this game against Seattle on Saturday. They're a good home team, although they did just lose to the Rapids at home. But I don't know if you can win a trophy like that. I don't
think that they're better than the Sounders right now. That's for sure. To round that whole section out, I still take the Surging Sounders. Over Minnesota United, especially in a playoff context. And we will see this weekend. And I feel like that's a really good place to leave that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that this match is going to feel like a playoff match in some ways because of where this is 2 of the best teams in the West dogging it out for playoff positioning. So
it should be on Sunday Night Soccer. So whoever on Apple TV, dropped the ball.
Yeah, the Seattle Sounders have been getting shine from national pundits, but not that much shine.
No.
They actually just were on Sunday Night Soccer.
That's true, but that was like a terrible matchup. So
yeah, sometimes like the Sunday Night Soccer and then priority games, I'm like, why did you guys pick Atlanta United versus Austin FC? Why is that priority?
It's because they should let us run the Apple TV network. I'm telling you, we would up the viewership by at least 100,000.
All right, let's wrap it right there. No, we went hour 30 plus, so I think that's plenty of content for this episode of Lobbing Scorchers. I thought the new format tinkering kind of cooked. I like that.
I loved it.
Let's keep rolling with that. But if you guys got any like suggestions or takes, feel free to hit us with them. We may or may not read or listen to them. Yeah. But
this also gives us the opportunity to do new bits and segments.
Yeah, and again, like keeps it more broad and not as like locked in on one game where the shelf life isn't always there. So
exactly.
Good stuff. Good first run of it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back at it on Thursday with Under the Lights. Gonna try to book a guest for that, so tune in.
Maybe I'll even pop in. Who knows?
Maybe you have been known to do that from time to time. 7:30 p.m. on the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube. If you haven't done so yet and you're watching this on YouTube, like this video and like all our videos and sub to our channel if you haven't. Like, comment, subscribe, rate 5 stars, write us some reviews.
Share with Sonny.
New character.
Don't share with Mueller though. We don't.
Don't share with Mueller because Noah was spouting some anti-Mueller rhetoric.
No. Yep.
Yeah, that's it for us on this one. We'll catch you next time. Until then, we out.
Peace.